Everyone back. All right, Becky, Sam, Colleen, Jason, all good? Nicole. All right, I'm going to go over just a few announcements. I've got 12.5 minutes to do that before Dave takes it over, all right? First of all, I've been looking at all of your greenhouse prayers. I'm loving them. I've offered some suggestions to some of you to continue to flesh it out. You know, that is really our prayer that is going to carry us through the whole greenhouse experience and process. That'll be the prayer that you'll invite others to join you in praying as a team. And you may even print those types of things on cards, put them on stuff for other people to join you. Once we can flesh that out, please share that with your prayer team via emails, social media. I was telling Nico, you know, I posted a beautiful picture of him on social media with his greenhouse prayer. Wasn't it an amazing picture? And I was like, you know, I'm going to tee everybody up with that on social media and tag you, but I don't need to be your main social media engagement coordinator going forward. That needs to be you all. You're the ones that need to post your prayer and just invite the world to join you in it, because it has to start with prayer, right? And so every week I'm gonna post you all's picture with your prayer, just so we can get people excited to join you in the process. So I've talked to some of you all, offered some suggestions, but the goal is to have really a prayer asking God to show you this vision, to clarify this vision, to reach our communities in ways that we're not doing it right now, okay? So that's, again, the purpose of that. So far, we've talked about discipleship coming into the first session. We've talked about prayer. Today, we're going to talk about vision. We've talked about leadership. Today, we're going to talk about vision and networking. We're going to move forward talking about vision and networking as well. And so we're laying the foundation brick by brick, right, to help launch this vision off the ground out of your greenhouse action plan. We're going to talk a lot about vision over the next couple of sessions. A couple of things on vision right quick. There's no such thing as emotionless vision. If you remember the 5 things that Barna shared as to why followers follow leaders, trust was one, passion was up there. So think about what gets you excited, what turns your light on as you talk about what your vision might become, right? It's got to have passion. If you're not excited about it, no one's going to get excited about it. So you got to bring that. Vision will provide motivation. We kind of talked about that in our group. It's going to get you up every morning. It's going to get that oozing out of your toenails. Jessica Stonecipher was on a call with Colleen and I, just doing some catch up last week. And she's like, what do I do? I'm seeing people, they're asking about what I'm doing. They're asking how they can help. And I'm like, hey, your vision, it's 24/7 vision casting is. It's something that you can't help but share. So you see somebody that asks you what you're doing, you say, let me tell you about this new thing that I'm working on. And we're going to talk about this next session, and then you can start building relationships with people, and you can determine, is this somebody that can get on board with what we're doing? You can even say it. Let me tell you about it. Does this sound like something that you can be a part of, that you can get excited about? Or do you know people who could get excited about this? I'd love to meet them. And then we're going to create a system. Like that person's a yes, that person's a no, that person's a maybe. So I'm going to keep them on my email list / prayer list, and we're going to continue to follow up. All right. Vision will provide direction for you. So we get motivation and direction. So it's going to help you know exactly where you're going. And so it's just so important to continue to clarify that vision so that we don't get distracted. Didn't we talk about distractions in our group? We talked about distractions. So working towards vision so that we can do networking with people so we can share it. So then we might do some fundraising. We can't have fun without funding, can we, Jason Booker? Can't have fun without funding. So we're going to have our own hands-on experience with our Shark Tank. I can't remember the date of that. April something is Shark Tank. That'll be in Columbus. It's on your schedule. But that's going to be your chance to kind of put all of this together up to that point and share it and get other people excited about it. We've had people go into that Shark Tank wanting to win a $5,000 check. They didn't win the contest, but they did walk out of there with money because the people that listened said, watch for a check in the mail. We're going to support, our church is going to support you. I don't think I shared this with you all, but we had a Shark Tank on location at Procter & Gamble in 2018, maybe. The CEO of Procter & Gamble, who is United Methodist, there was a strategy behind this whole thing. He's United Methodist. We wanted him to see the creative new faith communities that we were starting as a denomination, so he could kind of get some hope and excitement himself. Procter & Gamble is the 80th most innovative company in the world, according to Forbes. Innovation was kind of our key. So we had 3 people pitching that day, right? Dave, Amy Aspie, and Tyler Kleberger. Who won that? Well, I did. Okay, I slipped my mind. So humbly speaking, Dave won the contest, but the CEO said everybody's getting 5,000, right? Yeah. Not everybody in the room. I didn't get it. But the 3 people that pitched it, and then more, he continued to contribute. So my point is, never miss an opportunity to share a vision. And so we've got to continue to work on that. How many of you have not heard from your IDI guide? Alyssa, can you take these notes? Some of them haven't heard from their guide yet. Phil hasn't heard from, he hasn't even got his guide yet. Who else? Nico hasn't heard from Alethea. Sam Hubbard hadn't heard from Alethea last week. Colleen had her session. Jason, have you heard from your cultural competency guide?
No, I know who my guide is. I just hadn't reached out to him yet. I figured that was on me, not him.
Who is it?
John Morgan.
Okay. We'll just have John. They're supposed to. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and reach out to John, set that up. And then Becky, Nicole, have you heard from your guide yet?
Yeah, I've met with my guide.
Oh, okay. You're ahead of everyone. How about Nicole?
I believe she said that she knew who it was and she'd reached out, but she hasn't met with him yet.
All right. All right. Good. So we've got Phil hasn't received his guide yet. And then a couple need to continue. I'm going to text Alethea because they've emailed her and she hasn't responded. Okay. Well, somebody talked. Nitos has talked to her. I said that she might think Nito and Nico are the same person. And she's like, why does he keep bugging me? All right. So please let me remind you, continue to do the work. Don't get behind or we'll eat your lunch. We have people in the room that have been through the greenhouse that have gotten behind before. And it almost can get to the point where you want to quit or I ask you to step out and start over next time. Try to stay up as much as possible so that you can embrace the whole experience and help it form and shape you. You've received your case study, right? Are you excited about that? For the most part, we did the best we could to try to match you up with who we thought could be most helpful during this particular season. no two church plants are alike. So you may not have a case study exactly like yours. You may be wondering, what are they thinking? But I do think that there's something that you can learn from all of them. Jason, I assigned him to Church for All People. We toured that when he was in Columbus. All right. Jason said he wants to start a church where worship is kind of the last thing that happens. Right, Jason? And you probably
Correct.
saw that at Church for All People, they do so many other things. Worship is part of it. Now,
Yeah.
John Edgar did respond to Jason, and I'll just say that if John Edgar responds to you personally, that is a huge deal. He is like up there, right? So, and he gave him his personal phone number too. So anyway, just want to put that out there. He's a busy guy. So if you have a conflict or are confused by your case study, hey, Sam, glad you made it over. He's not just roaming in here, you know, he told us he was going to be late some because he takes his kid to daycare, but he has been on the phone up to this point. So anyway, if you have a conflict or a concern about your case study, see me today and we'll talk it through, all right?
Can I ask a quick question? If we want to take maybe a couple of folks with us, is that appropriate or inappropriate for that visit to the site?
Like to the worship service? Yes, by all means. Yeah. You're secret worshiping anyway, so, yep. Other questions about case study? Have you heard from your IDI guy? Do you know who it is?
Yes.
Who is it? All right. Sherry Blackman, okay.
I have the information, but I can't recall it. Yeah.
Good, that's okay. Do you have any questions? I'll go over this with you later. We're ready for you? I'm getting better.
So we want to go over the mission insight stuff. Alyssa's going to help me with this because there's some computer things and I struggled. Did everybody get logged in to your mission insight? Did you eventually? It's not super duper easy. So do we want to take them through to like how to get to the bit that we want to get them to?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just like step by step walk you through this. And I have at your table, and I don't know how we'll do it online, but what we'll do, like a profile of 10.5 miles around this location. So as we go through all the tools today, we'll use that as like a straw man. You know, like here's how to apply those tools, but you'll go home and do that with your own teams in your own context and just take them through the same process that I'm going to take you through here. But the first step is to get this mission insight stuff figured out and learn how to get it, learn how to read it, and find the tools that are germane to you. So the way we got there was the executive insight report.
I'm gonna go back.
Okay,
It's hard.
it's hard to see. Isn't it?
Technology is hard, friends.
There's a way to make it bigger. Yeah. Let's get it up here. Yeah. Scale. So once you get logged in and the opening screen, Are you guys kind of following along on your devices if you brought one? You're welcome to.
Oh, yeah, if you wanna log in while we're going through this, 'cause we're gonna do both. We're gonna look at your stuff and
Yeah,
this
this,
stuff.
yeah.
So. And then you're always gonna choose the next generation people view. And then if you're assigned a church, it'll have your assigned church on here. If you're not, then you can just click like any church in the world that you want to use, because it does not matter. Like nothing is stored.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So that's fine.
Mine too.
Mine still is too.
Yeah.
12 years ago. The thing that I haven't used any of the other ones, but the thing that you're gonna use to find what we're looking for is the generate demographics report. Dave uses the radius.
I use Radius to pull mine.
I think it just depends on your location. So I'm in downtown Columbus. I can use a zip code and it gets me the neighborhood that I want. So 43224, like it's a specific neighborhood defined by roads, and that's what I want. Instead of doing a mile radius, that's like way too much in
Yeah.
Columbus.
Yeah, but if you're a rural area, probably,
You want to do a 5-mile radius
yeah, or
of your
10.
location.
I mean, I did 10 and it captured a lot more picture of what we tend to draw here. Because everybody has cars here. You're not getting around without one, so.
What do you want to do?
So I would do Radius just to get to ours, yeah. And the address is 29.
So we'll also use the predefined boundary. If you're doing the predefined boundaries, you're gonna choose one of these. So you can choose a city if you want, or you can choose the zip code and you have to like swipe the guy over.
It's kind of weird.
It's like, I don't know. You can do it. Oh my gosh, I do not like this step. So anyways, you have to do that if you want that. And then you can type in the zip code that you want, but I'll go back to this.
29 West Church Street is where we're at, Newark.
So it does not think that we're in.
Not yet. Gotta keep typing.
And then down here, we hit next. And then we're gonna do a radius. And right now it's at 2.5.
Yeah, I just went up to 10. 10.5, but.
So 2.5 is just downtown Newark.
Yeah. And we don't draw, for here, we don't draw downtown Newark very much. We draw the county really. But for the sake of this, I went 10.5. Hit next.
And then we're gonna do predefined reports. And what we asked you to get for today was this executive insight, and this has the full insight, the quick insight inside of it. Those don't have the mosaic, which is the part of the report that the three of us think is the most
We
relevant
think-
for this.
We think the mosaic report that I've got printed out under your stacks is about the most fruitful thing in here. That captures everything quickly. Otherwise, you can get lost in the weeds on all the numbers. Was there ministry one? There's a choice for ministry.
Yeah.
That's pretty good too. But again, it's a lot of numbers that if you're stat head, look it all up. I mean, it's interesting, but you can really get lost in it.
Once you click finish down at the bottom, then it'll download a PDF for you, and I'll open it up. Well, is that this?
It's there. That might be the ministry one. So,
This is,
but the
yeah.
executive one is there as well. It's just in a different window.
to this point, except for Apple. So you all have your executive insight in front of you. Did you guys get this, Jason, Colleen? Were you able to do that? Becky and Nicole? Okay, I got it. Sorry. Technology's hard with this. Can't stop sharing. And that's not good with it.
It won't go to your screen. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Should have get their mention.
All right, so it can be really confusing. So sorry that the database is so confusing. All right, so now I'm going to share. This is the executive insight report for Little Arrow or for Engage.
Yeah, for our location here.
What's on here, so you have these, this is what is in your report, these 12 insights. Population and household trends. I'm just gonna walk through. So there are a bunch of numbers. You might like statistics, you might like data, but part of it is like, how do you then use it? And Dave's gonna walk through like how we can design and vision stuff, but this, remember, every number is a person. And so these are real people that live in your area. And so when we look at household trends, it shows us, you know, how many households, how many people are in each household, you know, how they're changing, the families that are represented, and it gives you some background on all of that. You have your racial ethnic trends, how that's changing from 2010 to 2021, and then how that's going to continue to change, which in most of our neighborhoods, I think it did shift. You can see your age demographics and how those shift. And then the generational trends, or the life stage trends for all of these, how they've shifted. Income. And then, so marital status here, education, employment, and then here's the mosaic segments that we're gonna get to. One thing I do want to say about all these too is, you know, this is, if you look at these numbers, part of, you know, planting is knowing the people that are going to be in your church or who you're trying to reach. And if you're trying to reach, like, if you are well educated and you want to reach people who are well educated, but everyone in your zip code only has a high school diploma, like, you know, you either need to shift your vision, which we're going to talk about, or, you know, find a different place to plant, or, you know, ask God, why do you have me in this location? If these, you know, seem to be conflicting, and maybe God has something different for you. But this information just helps us to be able to read our communities. The mosaic segments are, they look for different trends and then group people together. So it's not just generational, it's not just socioeconomic, but it's kind of bringing all of those together and then saying, okay, these are singles and starters. Do you have singles and starters? Oh, you don't?
Probably not.
These are potlucks in the great outdoors. Is there one?
Sounds about right.
And if you have this pulled up on your device, you can see your top areas or where everyone falls, but it's going to be where the profiles are in this faith-based clients mission impact mosaic application guide. So at the very bottom of this page, you want to click on that link to get the mission guide. The very bottom link of, yeah, and it's going to bring you to this website right here. It's the mission impact guide. And this first page tells you all of the kind of things that it covers. So it covers how they view leadership, how they view hospitality, you know, what kind of worship style, finances, what kind of church building they prefer, which is interesting. And how they communicate or how they prefer communication from a religious institution. And then once you are in here, you can find what group. So again, I know Singles and Starters, this is the top one in my area. So Singles and Starters, group O. So I click on that. And then it's going to give me all of the different types in this group. And the one that's in Newark is the digitally savvy. So you can click on that and it'll give you what is on your table if you're here in
We have
person.
families in motion.
Right,
It's-
so-
yeah.
So then you can read through, you know, all of these different things about those segments that are in your area. Does that make sense? So we're pointing this out because Brad, Dave, and I think that this is like the most helpful part of Mission Insight. There are lots of other good things in the data and in the reports and all of that. But this is what we like. So we're gonna go through it today. I think I've done.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the most fruitful one that was helpful for us when we launched Little Arrows and Engage Newark. If you could pull up Group M, it's Families in Motion. That way the people online can have that too. This is what we use kind of as our straw man to build an avatar of our potential user. You know, on the second page there, third paragraph down, it says they tend to connect initially with the church through a child-friendly outreach program or parent support small groups. Ta-da, that's why we started Little Arrows Play Cafe. They connect to the church through children's ministries and doing things with the family. So when I read through that, it's like check all the boxes of what I know about the people who live around here. It tends to fit really well. So what I'm gonna just, you can set that aside. We'll use that as a tool as we go forward. Might want to keep that around, Alyssa. Because now we'll introduce some of these tools. So we've been talking, I think Brad kind of covered this without really knowing it. We've been talking up to now about your person. Okay, this is who you are as a person. Like your DISC profile, if you've done Enneagram, if you've had the Strength Finders, all of those profiles, and besides whatever experiences you have that created you to be who you are now, that's who you are. You're a person. But Brad mentioned this. We all have a passion. Okay, things that we enjoy doing, things that we love, reasons for existing, things that wake you up in the morning that this is what I'm about to do today. This is what I love. But also to determine what a passion is, are you willing to suffer for it? Are you willing to hurt, to have pain? And once you can develop that passion, I'm willing to suffer for this, it starts to become a vision and captures other people too. Wow, I see what she's been through to continue on this journey. So a passion is deeper than just having a hobby or an interest, right? This is like something I'm willing to go deep for. And then we're going to intersect another circle here. I don't know if the online people can see all this stuff, Melissa, but this is the problem. Okay, problem. Now, there's something that God has called you to be a solution for somebody or do something for them. There's a problem out there that really He's created you to solve. Now, you can look at these intersections here. The intersection of your person and your passion is probably a hobby. Oh, I just love to do model trains, you know, like whatever is the thing that you like. I love to garden personally. That's me. I love to garden. I think it'd be cool to have a model train set, but I don't think it's got time and money for all that. I love to play and sing. Those are hobbies, borderline passions. And then over there, down here, passion and problem, this spot down here is a cause. Because, I'm really concerned about this people group who need food, maybe, so you're like, oh, I grow a garden, and I'm passionate about that, and I'm going to donate all the things that I have from my garden to the Food Pantry Network. Won't you join me in that? That's a cause. Could be. And then the last one is between the person and problem. This is a duty. Yes, my personal thing is that, and my family has always served the community breakfast. So it's part of my experience. It's part of who I am. And there's a problem in our community. We need to serve the community breakfast. But I hate it. It's not a passion. It's just duty. I just have to do that. And it's funny how duty has to do. But this middle spot here, this middle one, that's your kingdom dream. That's the spot that's the sweet spot where your person, your passion, and the problems around you in the community all align together. The things you're willing to suffer for to solve this problem based on your personality all comes together to fulfill your God-given responsibility, your God-given gifting. God probably had a problem in mind when He created you. That you're going to go out and do this thing and be a part of these people's lives. The thing is, we too often don't identify our person well enough and to interpret our history to know that whether or not this is truly a passion and a problem crossover, or if this is just a problem that I have and nobody else has. Nobody else has this problem. This is just my daddy issue. Or whatever it might be for you. Have we done the work to interpret those things? So what we're going to do today is help you find ways to know these things are intersecting. Are the problems that you're seeing and the solution that you have in mind, are those intersecting with what God has done through you up to now and created in you a passion, sense of purpose to solve? Part of the problem that we have is we end up falling more in love with our solution than we do the problem that is out there. I'll get out of the way. Was I in it? Okay, because I want to erase it. Ready? Okay, I'm going to erase it. Okay. And then here's this thing that we have in the church that we often go flying by. Oh man, it's not erased well. Is we don't create a strategy for the things that we come up with. And we got an idea. So we have this we got a vision or a dream. We have this dream. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have a dream. So none of us here are low dreamers. We're all on this high dream churches have these, well, they go one or the other. They don't have too much of a dream. They just have lots of plans, lots of strategies. I want to make sure I get this right. Because if you have lots of plans but no dream, and this corner here, it's just again, it's just duty. It's a dutiful plan. We were talking in our circle over here in the breakout about having a great church strategy that you dust off once a year to see if you've done the things that you said you were going to do. That's just a plan. Nobody's capturing that kind of vision. If you have a low dream and low strategy, what you really have is a nightmare. Because you got a church that's got no vision, and you got a church that has no strategy. So that's a nightmare. And over here, if you got lots of dreams but no plan, it's just a pipe dream. It's something that's never going to happen. You're never going to accomplish it because there's no strategy to make it happen. How many people do you know, or maybe yourself, got this great idea, I've got this great vision of what we're going to do, and then, but I didn't know how to get there. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what the next step was to make it happen. Well, this side of here, if you get a strategy and a plan, there's your kingdom tree. This is where God is finally working in you and through you to actually make something happen. So what we want to do now is start giving you those strategies and the tools. I'm not sure which page. It'd be page 2. Yeah, page 2 in your handout sheet. We're going to kind of fly through this because we'll have to. Oh, good, we're doing great on time. Principles for designing solutions. So there's 5 key principles for that you got to keep in mind when you're designing solutions for the problems that you're seeing that maybe are your passion that you can fix to develop this strategy. The first thing is start with empathy. I think I just left that in there. Start with empathy. Start with the people and the problem. Start with the who and the why. Don't start with the what. Don't start with like, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. Like that, if you've already done some of the background work, sure, that's great. But let's first find who those people are, what their needs are, and we're going to start with empathy. Because we're going to love those people more than we love our own solution. Yeah. I do. I've emailed it.
It's what this
Yeah.
is what you.
Do they not have it? Okay. Empathetic human design. In the business world, you're always thinking about the customer. Like, what's the customer experience when they encounter our business, our church culture, the things that we're doing? How do we engage the customer best so that they feel like this is the warmest place they've ever been? Or, well, we just talked about some of this stuff with our Little Arrow staff. Like, hey, what does hospitality look like to the moms who are coming into Little Arrow so that they feel like, I don't know why, but this just feels like home. I just feel like I'm so comfortable here, I'm going to pour out my life to you. We've struggled with that over the last 2 years. So there's been a mindset shift over the last couple of years. Now, you can use that mission insight tool that we've just walked you through. Like, actually, we didn't walk, we ran through. You can use that to start to get an understanding of who the people are in your area, see what their hopes and dreams are, how they intersect with church, and you. But then the best thing is go out and talk to people, interview people, set up times where you can go to a business person that's in your area and interview them. I've got sample interview questions there that I think will be good for you. Part of your homework will be to go do that over the next 2 weeks. Arrange some time to go spend with, either pick up the phone and call them or sit face to face with them. Just ask them, these are samples. You don't have to limit to these. You can just starting points here. What negative things are you experiencing or seeing? Think about that if somebody who's planting a church in your neighborhood came up to you and said, what negative things do you see? How hospitable does that sound to you? What headaches do you have? Professional and work-related issues. What things are going on in your life? What fears are you navigating? What personal issues do you have? But it's not just that. What positive trends do you see too? What opportunities do you have? Professional and work-related. What hopes do you have? And so out of those interviews, you can start to see, like, okay, here's where these folks are in the problems that they're starting to see, or they're starting to articulate, and you're starting to see them. We've been doing this for several weeks here with Little Arrows, and what we have seen is that we've got, the reason why we're not making a connection is because, one, moms are having a hard enough time developing and maintaining relationships, let alone starting new ones. So it's hard enough during a pandemic to keep the relationships alive that started that. Secondly, we're seeing most of our people are new moms, meaning they've only had children, maybe 2, during a pandemic. They don't know how to mom unless it's a pandemic. So they don't know how to socialize themselves anymore, let alone their children. And then the third problem is they've started some home businesses. So they're trying to keep up with work. You know, maybe they left the workforce, have started their family, and everything has changed with that. So what we're trying to do now is design solutions for that. We're going to use this space to do like some crossover business catalyst things while we watch their kids, like lunch and learns. We'll bring a business person in. How can we help you design effective strategies for your MLM? We'll watch kids over there, do that once a month. We can make money off of it. They can feel blessed. You know, it's kind of a win-win. So we've learned that from process of interviews. And then to prepare for this, I jump on the Mission Insight. Guess what the number one elevated concern for people is loneliness. They're lonely. They're not making connections. So Mission Insight confirmed what the interviews told me. So I'm going to go through the next, I think there's 3 or 4 other principles. But what we'll do is come back. You can conduct these interviews with each other, and one of you or 2 of you will play the role of somebody from the sheet. All right, I live in 43055, and I'm a stay-at-home mom who I'm trying to I've started a business and I'm struggling, you know, I'm lonely. So we'll go through the questions and you just kind of do it. All right. I've debated on how to do this because, like, I don't want to waste your all's time, but I also want you to practice it. It's going to be even better when you go do it yourself. So we'll come back to that. Number 2, so start with empathy. And empathy, just go to the people and talk to them and see how they're struggling. Number 2, start small. Don't build something giant. You got to have a beta test of it. You know, R&D, research and development. Too often we'll think we have a hunch. Like, I got this hunch, and I'm just going to go crazy. Like, how many churches have done this? Like, we're going through this with Engage right now. I think we need men's ministry. Well, have we actually talked to men to see if we need it? Well, maybe you just want men's ministry, you know, but we'll get everybody together on March the 12th and have a giant breakfast and see if anybody shows up. Well, maybe let's talk to them first. Let's have a small breakfast first invite a few key people that we think might be invested in men's breakfast. Let's see how that goes. Test it, unwind it, debrief it, evaluate it, then try it again. So start small. We're not great about testing. We just usually jump pretty big. Number 3, follow the fruit. If it's fruitless, stop. Just stop. Quit doing ministries that aren't bearing fruit. That is so hard to do in established churches, but you're starting new ones, so develop it. It is a lot easier to stop them if they're not bearing any fruit. And then lastly, keep it overly simple. Complexity is an enemy. It will kill you. If you can't explain it clearly, nobody can explain it or receive it clearly. A confused mind always says no. You're trying to invite somebody to some complex thing, they're not going to say yes. So have a clear focus of what you're trying to accomplish with your church start in your area. All right, so let's practice this a little bit. There's more. We've not given you a lot of time to read this, obviously, but I think it would be helpful if one of you at each table plays the part of somebody who lives like Group M here, Families in Motion, and then somebody else asks questions, and you just have a conversation from that perspective. So I'll give you about, I don't know, we don't need a whole lot of time here, maybe 10-ish minutes, but write down your answers, because we're going to need those as we build this project together, okay?
You're online, I'm gonna put you guys in this Zoom room, in a breakout room, if that's all right. So, might be in all only if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, Nicole's gonna tap out, but the rest of you.
But so like for us, we know our talking about.
If you guys either one, go to one of the other people.
That's who I'm targeting. So I don't know, like, if you would go to, just go to Pop Shop and see there. And just order. That's my. Yeah. It's like this. Kind of thinking about typing this. Right. Just put yourself in the mind of that type of person. You're a person who's in a family in motion, and again, we're experimenting here. I'm not sure. Yeah, just acting. Yeah, it's role playing. Somebody just put yourself in that mindset, and then ask that question. See what comes out. If this turns to crap, we'll reboot. You're good?
it, there's just not. And that's it. Oh, yeah, I keep telling you. Yeah.
Was that That's right.
Brad, what negative things are you seeing? So that may relate to the next different stuff. Yeah. I'm not gonna see that.
I give you about 3 more minutes. Yes.
That was like the first thing I looked up. That's me, my first.
Okay. Let's call ourselves back together here. Yeah, bring her. Oh, we got 1 minute yet? All right. Okay. Okay. I don't think we'll get these guys back in 60 seconds. I know. This is we were done before we started. Is there gonna be bacon? Yes. You were even starved. Yeah, we should know which church does which menu all around the city. Like, all right, you guys got all hash browns. Okay, welcome back, online friends. Welcome back, online friends. Okay, they wave. All right. So what we need to do is using these customer interviews, so to speak, like users of your ministry, people who would be potential congregants, however you want to call them, you can literally start to create an avatar of that type of person that you're getting to know them. Yes, they're individual human beings, but you can start to see a little bit of a profile of who they are, their hopes and dreams. So let's ask, like, what did you see in there? Like, what's keeping people up at night? What's their pain points? What's making it so they can't get to sleep? What did you discuss? How did you see it? Online, just wave if you've got something to share too. We don't want to leave you out. So anybody want to share? Did you write down these things? It's important to, we're going to capture all this information. Yeah, Mary.
So, with our role play, it was kind of based around Columbus, and it was homelessness, addictions, hopelessness, poverty, socioeconomic class issues that just bear down on folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we all have the same 2 sheets of paper that we were?
Well, we
Yes,
did our own thing.
they did their own thing.
Uh,
Like, nah, man.
Sorry.
As soon as she said that, I was like, they didn't read the sheet.
Let's go, let's go.
Adaptive leadership happening right now. Okay, did you guys come up with anything? Yeah, Nico. Okay, spending more time at work than at home. Let's put it this way, work, home, sure. Anything else? Finances, okay. Yep. How about Zoom folks? Anything that highlighted for you guys? Were you able to do the exercise? Sort of. Okay.
We gave it our best shot.
Okay. Everything's trickier online, that's for sure. And you don't get snacks like we do. So, yeah, exactly. It pays to come from Louisiana. The point of the exercise is for you guys to get the tool. I just want to make sure that you're understanding what to do and how to do it and why. Is that an affirmative at least? Okay. All right. I'll take that as a half a win. Okay. How about what gets them up in the morning? What makes them excited? What are the things where they're like, this is why I'm going to take on the day? Anybody have on the positive side, their hopes? The family? Sure. Yeah, family. Yep. Did you guys have any good positive things? Okay. Okay.
So we were looking at it from like lots of activity because we're talking college, we're talking adults, looking at just the vitality of being in that kind of community where there's higher education around and what that means. Of course, we didn't pamphlet, but
Okay.
They're already attuned to faith, so being involved in their
Yeah.
community.
Faith is part of their life already. Sure.
They're looking for a new faith experience.
Maybe something different than the traditional thing they grew up in. Yep. Anything else? All right. Now, once you start to, off of these interviews, start gathering all this data. Like, okay, they have some, I'm guessing most people who are borderline homeless aren't thinking higher ed, right? So, so some of those things are a little incongruous in this case because they didn't do the assignment specifically as directed. But you can start to build a profile, and now then you start thinking, what are 5 ways I can help these people? So let's come up with 5 solutions or 5 things we can do to maybe make an impact on Susie and John Robertson. Yeah, the Robertson family. They've been working hard. They've got one kid that's a 9th grader and one that's a senior. And Susie has a job, but it's not paying what it used to. And the hours aren't there. John's working overtime. He's a manager at the factory. He's got a great job, but again, there's less people doing more work, and he's tied up in that. They're not borderline homeless, but hopeless maybe, because like they're just stuck in this grind, and they're going to be paying college for John Jr. and they need a car coming up soon for Susie Jr. Nobody uses those names anymore. It's like Emmeline and yeah. So what kinds of things would work for them? How can we serve them as a new faith community? What are things that we can do to help the Robertson family navigate life, to know that there's people who actually care about them? There's a church community here, or we're developing a church community, or they could belong to this new church community that loves them and is connecting with them. This is all about like just seeing needs and starting to fill them one by one. Jesus did it, and now we got to do it too, absent the ability to just fix it with a touch. What kinds of things do you think would work for these guys?
Are we assuming they're looking for a faith community to be a part of?
Well, the profile would indicate that they're open to faith, but maybe don't care for traditional type things.
So if they're looking for things to do as a family, some easy things that churches can do are like, trunk or treat, egg drop, community
Okay.
event where you're inviting a whole family experience to have a good time. Maybe meet some new family people who have the same experience and backgrounds.
Okay, so community type events, right?
If it doesn't work, we kill it.
Yeah, that's right. If it's not bearing fruit, off with your head. Burn it with all the other scrap. I think, Brad, we would call that catalytic events, right? Yeah, catalytic events where there could be crossover from people of the community to people of faith. Let's get to know you kinds of things. Yeah. What else do you think we could do to really develop a relationship with the Robertson family and help them make a deeper connection with faith even? And not to shortchange Zoomers, let us know if you got any ideas. It's noon on Wednesday.
As far as faith goes, as leaders, we should probably just walk the talk as we talk and show them that we are for real and engage with them on a spiritual level that way, and a faith level that way. To help them feel more comfortable with us as people.
Sure.
Instead of just a leader or a pastor or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, authenticity is what I wrote down. They're skeptical of actually titles and leadership positions. Oh, you want to interact with me? You just want my butt in your seat.
Right.
And my money. Exactly. And I'm already struggling. Yeah.
One of the things that I was thinking of, and I didn't bring the profile that closely, but we were talking about the age groups of the children, to offer something that maybe is a youth-oriented program.
Sure.
That even gives the parents then a place to land, dealing with things like college coming up and financial, and there are other parents that probably share similar experiences.
Yeah. I'll say this, because I sort of describe myself a little bit, because that's the age of my kids, roughly. Somebody to help me go through FAFSA form, you know, how to navigate college scholarships and all that stuff. Man, what if the church provided that service for people? Ding, ding, that's brilliant. Yeah. What things would help mom and dad, things help junior and junior, you know?
I always feel like the church misses the opportunity to network like people together, that one that maybe is stronger in their faith life, or they're already fairly mature in their discipling.
Yeah.
Mentors, a couple like this that's just coming in and really trying to see, even if there's a place for them. And that's an engagement piece that maybe even before they enter the doors, they're supposed to set up to go out and do that for their families.
Yeah, yeah. Like, okay, I see you're going to be an empty nester.
Yeah.
I too am an empty nester. Let me show you how I did that and still love Jesus.
Someone said like attracts like, and that's, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Susie has cancer. I've had that too. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Third paragraph kind of alludes to maybe they're more willing to do some social media, or how the church might be able to reach out to them doing that.
Okay.
Their daily devotional, or maybe you know, really quick videos from the pastors, whoever's of that area, connect with them, relate,
Yeah.
without dropping that they have their doctorate or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because that's like, oh, you got a doctorate, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I made that mistake. I went over to a little church over here called the Disciple Factory, and they only work with recovery and reentry. And I was talking about, yeah, when I was in college, I blah, blah, blah. And then after I was done, the pastor preached another sermon after mine to correct all of my stuff. And he said, I didn't go to college. I went to the school of hard knocks. You know, I was like, oops. Yeah, that was a mistake. I set myself apart from them. Unintentional. Yeah, okay, so these are some good ideas. We are running so on time, but our lunch isn't here yet. So, like, I've had it to end right now at noon, and I'm not entirely certain what we should do.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
When you're thinking about doing these interviews, we're looking at a potpourri of people that we're engaging with. So when you were doing this here, who were you reaching out to as part of? what you
Yeah,
were
so
about?
when I'm doing it for Little Arrows, I'm doing it with those profile of moms with preschoolers. And I already have a relationship with some of them, so I can specifically ask these sort of vulnerable questions. You know, if you're going out on your own, you're going to get a potpourri of answers from a potpourri of people, but you should see some themes start to develop, especially if you start going, okay, the idea for, you know, the 3 circles, this thing that I think is this kingdom dream probably has a target audience. The Apostle Paul had a target audience. Start to see what those prominent women have in mind, you know, how those prominent women are functioning, or whatever it is your target group tends to be. Let's see, what are their pain points? What are their hopes and dreams? What gets them up in the morning? What keeps them awake at night? Now, how can I help them with it? How can I add to their excitement, or how can I solve or mitigate this pain point that they have? Yeah.
Were you saying you had already launched the Little Arrow thing, and then you were able to have these conversations? Because you kind of set up an environment that allowed you to have
Yeah.
these
So,
conversations a little more freely.
right. Because we're doing a reboot now,
Okay.
because Little Arrows isn't doing what we want it to do. It's not developing relationships with the people of Jesus. So we're going through this process again to try to solve our problem, which is making relational connections that will ultimately, hopefully, lead them to Jesus or to our church. Church would be great. Kingdom is better. So if they don't land at Engage Newark, that's okay. I want them to land somewhere. But you know, if we invested in them and we want them to come to us. So we've not seen that actually work in 2 years. The pandemic just killed it all. So we started our church off of it, but yet we haven't kept it going. So now we're like, okay, it's not functioning like what we want it to, or the way it used to, where it was just natural. Mom would come in, drop their child off in the play area, and then she would stand and talk to our volunteer. 30 minutes later, go, I can't believe I just told you this entire story of my life. And then we would have this awesome connection with her. And then eventually, sometimes they'd volunteer. Eventually, they would come and worship with us. 2 years, that's not happened. Business survived. Business is going great. We're making money. We're not nonprofit. We're profit, which we just turned into more ministry. But it's not meeting our relational goals. So now it's like, okay, now that's not happening naturally. Let us create something, or what we're going to do next is how might we create the avenue for relationships so that people are being impacted by the kingdom. That's what we're trying to do. So we have two strategies that we're going to do. One is do moms groups without the homework. So you can come into this space on a specific day that we set aside. We've got somebody here that will do icebreakers and connect with you, just talk while your kid's over there. And then the other piece that I mentioned before, so many of them have little businesses that they've started during the pandemic, and they're stuck. Like they've just hit this ceiling. Now, maybe we have a great relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. Can we bring in some experts to just feed them some information and encourage them in it? We'll do monthly lunch and learns, and we'll just do what you're doing here, like just getting information and connecting with one another, all provided by Engage Newark Church and Little Arrows. And I'll be here. We'll just make connections with these people, and maybe it'll be a kingdom investment. That's just what we're trying to do. So those are the two big problems we've seen as we've conducted these interviews. Lunch should have been here at noon. I'm ready to take a break. I imagine you are too. What if we took the time to just tour now? And we'll just walk the space. Oh, 35? 45? Okay. Hey, we're going to take a little break, have lunch, come back at 12:45. You guys be up for that? Eastern Standard Time.